Community Beacon, Fridays at 6:30 EST, with your hosts Michaeldseville and Joel Simmons. A channel whose focus is liberty. A place where the lessons discussed and taught will create openings to a more open and freer mindset. A mindset where you may reach the height of your potential and excel. Here are your hosts, Mike and Joel.
What's going on? What's going on, brother? Another day and the place to be. This is Michaeldseville, and I appreciate you all for checking in. I got my co-host with the most on the other side, Mr. Joel Simmons of the Tenacity Foundation. What is going on, brother? I'm going to tell you what, real quick. These headphones made it, I was like, is this the remix to the intro? Like, everything sounds so much more different and clearer on these things. So hopefully you all are getting the same experience I'm getting.
I'm good.
Yeah, it sounded it just sounded different. Intro music, everything. I was like, whoa, who is this? Even Anna, when she spoke about Community Beacon. Guys, we love you. We appreciate you. Let me get past this. Let me get into this Community Beacon, and we can do some housekeeping. We can get into the show because I'm excited about our show tonight as we continually talk about life balance, workplace, etc. Guys, remember to like, comment, share, subscribe, hit the notification button. Thank you. If you're on YouTube, you can hit that notification button. Listen, I'm really about to spring for YouTube Premium. It's a whole different experience. I have the 3-month free trial, and without those interruptions, it just turns into a whole different platform for me. And I'm thinking, this is I guess along the lines of the show, that since I'm on YouTube so much, because I probably do take in a lot of YouTube, I do consume a lot of YouTube content, like it just might be worth it. It might be worth just the spring not having those commercial interruptions. I mean, it just comes in like a new platform. But guys, you all should think about that if you're watching Community Beacon. Go ahead and spring for YouTube Premium. Just make sure you hit the notification for us. Help us out with the algorithm. Remember, on Mondays, I'm doing What It Takes. I'm dropping that around 4:30, between 4 and 6 o'clock. That's what it shows. Check me out. I'm showing you exactly what it takes to, especially within my journey. Some mindset stuff, some real estate stuff. Check me out each and every Monday. And then, of course, on Wednesdays, it starts with who, brother?
Starts with me, brother. Starts with me and starts with all of our guests. We're so glad to be able to have all of you all that are joining in. We're getting even more comments and everything. Yeah. We had some great episodes that went off on the last couple of shows. I really enjoyed those. Went back and watched them again. Love what Jomer is doing and all of the stuff that he's doing with those shows, too, to make them really home oriented and make it really feel like real comfortable in being there. So anyway, check us out. Drop a comment. We'll comment. All right. Take care.
Yeah, we're still here, brother. Don't go on. Just in case that was you trying to get up out of here, we're still here. And we culminate each and every week with Community Beacon. That takes place on Fridays. If you're watching it, we're blessed, and we're blessed to have you here at 6:30, where we talk about different issues, community business, just some of the things that we have going on in life. And guaranteed to catch at least one gem. That'll pay for your admission here. Hit like, subscribe, notification for that. All right, let's get into it. We were talking last week. We got into, and man, we kind of went back to my roots in regards to business. Some of the things that I did, due diligence, researching exactly how I structure my businesses to really do some of the heavy lifting up front. So it's no longer a business. It's not a hobby. And shoot, some of you guys' hobby can even become businesses if you do it that way, especially if you're passionate about it. But we kind of left off. We kind of started getting a little bit into the nitty gritty. I got my pad and paper here ready, as the brother's going to take over and talk a little bit about, work-life balance. And on this side, kind of like, brother give a little background about your history as we talk about, partners and being supportive, et cetera, within the business environment.
Yeah, well, I mean, listen, I've run a business, like you said, like a hobby for about 18 years. And it was just recently, within the last 2 to 3 years, that I got really, really serious about entrepreneurship and took it to a whole nother level. I think that was the game changer for me. Because before it was very simple, go out, get a CPR licensing, and then just show up and teach people. Within a month, I made all of my initial money back. Maybe it was a couple of months. I made all my initial money back. And then, of course, I would buy stuff and I make it
nice
back.
Margins, yeah.
But it was just very simple. Aside from some of the stuff that I had to have for every single class, the expense of the class, I generally could repay myself every single time, and then the rest of it was increase. Never really cared too much about building the financial piece of the business. It was just like, oh, there's an extra few $1,000. Let's go on a trip. There's an extra couple $1,000. Let me pay for that. There's an extra couple $1,000. Here, baby, you can have this. Tell my wife. So it was real simple. It just became another stream of money, and that was simple. But now building a business was a total different thing. So I'll say that in the very beginning, I did the same thing that I've done recently. And maybe that's why it was very easy for me, is that I went to my wife. I told her what my idea was and how I wanted to move forward. I told her about how I thought it would work and how I thought it would affect us.
Yeah.
And I gathered her agreement. And from there, that's when I started.
Absolutely. And that almost jumps right into it, because I was going to ask, what the communication is like with your partner. You kind of spoke about it. What if she had said no? Or
so
she wasn't
that's a
alive?
great question.
Yeah.
That's a great question, because my wife has not always said yes about every single thing that I've wanted to do. I mean, listen, my mother is an entrepreneur, and she's a big entrepreneur. She's been doing it for 23 years, living off of, what she has made happen. So, and not only that, she's a 501c3. Right. So I feel like that's even more difficult in some ways, in some mindset, because it's a nonprofit business. She has to prove to somebody else that what she's doing is worth giving her an exorbitant amount of money to pay for the services she offers, plus to pay her for what she believes she's worth. Right. So it's a lot of stuff that goes on inside of that. So my wife didn't always agree, because I've always been like entrepreneurialistic. But a lot of times she's just like, hey, kind of do what you want to do, as long as the mortgage is paid, the electricity don't get cut off, the water don't get cut off, and when she wants to go out to eat, there's money there. You know, so it's like this. So there was always an agreement. I think that there can be times when people they don't have as much money, and they feel like whatever the spouse has done has failed. Every single one of my ventures has not been profitable. I've had a few of them that have not been profitable. The majority of them have been profitable. Maybe like 2 of them that I can think of were not necessarily profitable, but I broke even.
Yeah. That's not, as long as it's not pulling out. And I for whatever reason, I'm listening, just as you spoke about some of the ventures that you had. There was something that, I'm trying to remember the podcast I was listening to, where they said most entrepreneurs don't make it. They have 8 failures prior to their first, successful venture. And, and when we say, when you say failures, meaning that businesses that they didn't continue on with. Because you never really fail until you actually stop. Although some people do live in the red. So what's the conversation like? I think because I'm a huge. I've become very, very in depth about like what the conversation looks like that you're having with your significant other in regards to let's start from the very beginning, the starting of a business. Hey, wife, and I'm sure she knows you by now. And there's like, I have an ideal or another ideal. How do you kind of broach that subject in regards to her? And, what is that communication like between you and her?
Listen, I'm going to tell you this much. When you're approaching your spouse, when I approach my wife, it's just like an elevator pitch, only longer, only in more depth. So anybody who's looking to get ready to get into a business, you have to be prepared for your wife, or for your spouse. You got to be prepared. They're going to ask good questions. If you keep bringing an idea like, oh, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pick up cans and I'm going to take them down to the shop. I'm going to have them compressed, and then I'm going to wait until I get aluminum sheets and I'm going to sell the sheets, or I'm going to go pick up copper from all these sites, or I'm going to go teach people how to swim, and that's all you have. You got nothing else. Except for what you intend on doing. They're going to have questions. They're going to be like, well, what if, and what if, and what if, and how much will it, And so all those questions you need to be prepared for. And this is the perfect opportunity. So first off, the mindset, in the very beginning, my mindset was like, dog, she's going to shoot this down because I'm sold on it. But she wasn't here with me when I got sold. So she's going to shoot this down. And number one, I'm thinking this is going to end up negative. I think that this just goes to conversation and communication with your spouse, period. Whenever I go into a conversation, even when I think it's going to be negative, I start to tell myself it's going to be positive. I start to tell myself that I'm going to be able to get through this. I want to go into my conversation with positive energy and passion and compassion when I enter into the room. I don't want to bring negativity with me, because the first thing that's going to come out of my mouth is, see, you'll never support me. And so I've already shot down our relationship. I've already noted her as being the reason why I'm not successful. I've already put all of these things on her by that one thing. And she may have supported me before, but she has every single right to ask the questions. And the other thing is maybe the questions that she's asking, you need to be asking yourself.
Amen. Hey, I hear you. I hear so many entrepreneurs that want to go into business for whatever reason it is, and it's always like the best case scenario. Like that's how they pitch it in this best case scenario. But to have someone else come in, so this is like added. You know what I mean? Like this is gonna help your business go in the right direction if you have someone who can say, well, listen, because sometimes we get so tunnel vision, like this is how, and I'm gonna will my way to it. However, then that other conversation that you're having with someone who's in support of you overall, to be able to bring some clarity to some of the things that you may encounter, like you're already getting this in front, this talk prior to even talking to someone who you may ask for an investment from, going to the bank, bringing on business partners, etc. It's like you have this already built in, and I think that's awesome, brother. As you guys, so she said yes, and I kind of know what this looks like because I was at one of your programs that you put on over in the community center a while back. Well, two programs actually. From your significant other, what kind of support, besides saying you can go ahead and be involved with this, what kind of support are you looking for from them? Turning pro, as I would call it, or as that was called by the War of Art. If anyone gets a chance to read that book, really good book. I know the author's last name is Presley. But what kind of support are you looking for from that person as you start to get into the business? And what does that look like?
All right. So I got a few things for you there, Mike. And I don't know if we'll get them all in here, but to answer that question directly, I'm looking for, number one, I'm looking for all the support. Number one, I'm looking for someone who's going to be positive, and positive, number one.
Yeah.
They're going to be positive. That's what I want. Are you going to help me to build it? That's even better. But if you're going to help me build it, be positive. Are you not going to help me build it? That's not true. It's not true. If you got kids and they're taking care of the kids while you're building your business, they are helping you. If they're making you something to eat, they are helping you. If they bring you coffee in your room while you're working, they are helping you. If they're talking to you positively, they are helping you. If they're asking you questions that you don't want to answer because you don't know the answer, they are invested in your business because they want to know. They could just walk around and not ask you a thing.
Mm-hmm.
That means that they don't care whether, they may not care. So I'm looking for positivity, number one. Number two, I'm looking for the investment. I want the go ahead. I really do. I want the go ahead. It means a lot to me to get the go ahead. Even if it's a go ahead with some requirements, I'll take the go ahead with some requirements. So if she comes back and she says, listen, I don't really like this idea. I don't want to stand in your way, but as long as, write that list down. What is the as long as XYZ happens? Write that list down.
Right.
These are your benchmarks for work-life balance, entrepreneurial home balance. You don't got those benchmarks, you're going to have trouble down the road because 3 months later, you didn't hit those benchmarks. And all of a sudden, the electricity flickers off for 2 hours. And then you hurry up real quick and put it on. That was your responsibility. It doesn't mean that you didn't have the money in the bank. It just means that you didn't take the responsibility to pay for it fast enough for the electricity to stay on, and it went off. This causes discouragement and difficulties inside of the business, inside of your home.
Yeah, absolutely. And just the picture of the lights flickering on and off. I mean, we got to think about how huge this is. This is not you doing this on your own, right? Like this is it's one thing for you hear some bootstrap entrepreneurs who sleep in the office. They're showering at the gym. Like we hear all these these stories of what Les Brown has one of the craziest stories where his rental guy was like knocking on the door saying you can't sleep here. He's like you cannot sleep in this office. I've noticed that you act like you're the first one in and you're the last one out. But it turned out he just wasn't leaving. He didn't have that money. I'm hearing the extra responsibility of when when a spouse is involved. And so I guess it goes like, how much say does that spouse have in the time that's involved? Because I'm assuming time is going to also be like a huge factor in regards to the time that they would like to have, because there's the emotional support for them as well. Because you mentioned if you have kids. If there's cooking involved, there's house, the house being kept, etc. Like that's a whole that's even more to take a look at. So how much say do they have in regards to your time as you start the business, and what does that look like in order to come to a happy choice of what that looks like?
So I think that's a huge question. That's part of. I've got like 8 things.
Okay, so run them off. I'm
like 8
listening.
things that you
or maybe we can do 4, and then we'll do 4 on the next one.
So this would be right around the 5th thing. But first off, just to run through the first 4 is to have a positive mindset. All right, know your why. You need to know your why. You need to understand that you don't know everything. So this is all part of the mindset and the development. And then you need to be ready for feedback, right? And if you want, the 5th thing is be ready to fill the holes when you have this conversation. And right there, it's like / build your business plan with your spouse or talk with your spouse about your business plan. You get brownie points if you can build a life entrepreneurial business plan with your wife, because now your business is a part of how they, in my case, she will be able to achieve her dream. This draws in investment.
Yeah.
Same. That's what I said. This is like when you take that 90 seconds, I'm going to speak with someone in the elevator. That's your pitch. Great. You did a good job. You got a great idea. Come into my office. Now is when we really start talking. Ain't no more 90-second pitch. Because if you're coming to me, I want to know what you don't know about your business. I want to know, because I'm thinking about investing in it. I want to know where the holes are. And if I still like your tenacity, I may still go for it, even with the holes. I don't mind, because I'm going to bring my knowledge and I'm going to say, hey, listen, these are things we need to fill. So you have to be ready, because in my case, my wife come back and she's like, listen, your daughter just graduated. So we need to have money for the graduation party. This is important. You can't just take all your money and dump it inside your business, and all your time, Mike, that you just mentioned, and dump it inside your business. And then all of a sudden you're not there for the graduation party. Doesn't sound like a good business to her at that point in time. Doesn't sound like a good business to the family neither.
Right.
So it's like, okay, absolutely, we need to build this business plan. So I have my business plan. I wrote my stuff down because I need to know what I'm presenting to my wife. So when I show up to my wife, I'm like, I'm excited. Passion's raging, coming on out of my pores. And I'm like, listen, babe, this is what I want to get ready to do. This is what I want to do. She's like, okay, well, what do you need me for? I'm like, because I need your feedback. I really want your okay. Do I need it? I'm a grown man. I can do this anyway. Ain't nobody going to tell me I'm not going to do it. But if I do it that way, then I'm going to have static with my wife. And I could possibly destroy my household, which, I mean, how many entrepreneurs started off married and ended up becoming a success, divorced with kids in another state? Because they did not think about the value of why they were doing what they were doing. Oh, well, I want to spend time with my family. Is it in your plan? Because your family's there in front of you. And if you spend all your time working on this business and you leave them kids and you leave that wife, she don't care about the $1 million you're going to make 5 years from now. She cares about the quality of time with her today. And she cares about how you're going to help her with those kids right now. So fill your holes, all that passion and everything. You need to just throw that out and put it inside of a box and put it on top of the desk and let it sit there, because that's going to help you eventually. But you need to fill them holes, and those holes, your wife, your spouse is going to tell you exactly what it is. For a woman and a man, I don't know, maybe he wants to have some type of encounter with her at nighttime, and she comes home tired. And now he gets no encounters with her. And now it's been months, many months, where he gets no type of intimate encounters with her because she's always tired. Well, he don't want to be around that woman anymore. Mm-hmm. Now he's thinking, and you don't want him thinking. So all of those things are important. Put that on the table. And sometimes you got to curb your enthusiasm to hear exactly what they're saying, and then rebuild your business plan into a business plan that fits you, her, them, everybody. And now build.
Amen. Amen. Guys, we are going to continue this conversation into the next episode. It's riveting. I got some questions. I got more questions after the brother just gave us the spitted out those gems. So, man, we will catch you next week. Appreciate you all for checking in, and we'll see you.